Happy hump day. No Enfuego again this week. Too much to do. 7:30 p.m. We'll get a bit of an update here today. So this beautifully mint 2001 740i Shorty Sporty that I filmed a few months ago, I think. This is a 68,000 mile last model year example. Look at the interior here. Get a gander. Has he redone the headliner since I've seen it? Oh, he has. In Alcantara. Oh, I gotta get a look at this. Oh, it's nice. They did a nice job. It was really saggy and hanging all over the place. The color match with the gray stuff isn't perfect. I would have swapped all this to black or had it wrapped as well. Did he do the cover? Thank God he did the cover. That's pretty damn good though. Anyways, low miler 68036. That looks like new wood trim there. That looks like it's been polished. Just a beautiful, it's a low spec car. It's got nav. It's got a sunshade. That is it. There's no parking sensors. I don't even know why that was an option. Like, why would you want a 7 Series BMW without beepers? That makes no sense. 37s, whatever. So this is the next project that we hope to start as early as tomorrow. Anyways, though, today was spent over here on the 03 540 M-Tech. So the rear arms, rear control arms are done. Everything's got to be torqued at ride height still. Then the big snafu today is with these brake lines, these two short ones here. So we take out the rubber ones, we put in the stainless steel ones. They went in no problem, tightened down nice and snug. We put a little bit of pressure in the system there from the booster, drip, 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 drip. So we take it apart, look in there, everything's clean, seal it up again, pressure in the system, drip, 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 drip. Compare it to the original line, and the threads cut into the new stainless lines it's the same thread pitch and it tightens, but it's loose even when it's tight. And the threads, they're too long, they're not snugging down. So over to the grinder wheel, we snug it down until it's the same depth as the original line, and it's still loose and not very tight. I had several of these sets on order. I had to delay customers a couple of weeks because they were on back order. They just made another production run. Both sets that I have in house have this problem. So they screwed up the production run at ECS, and these two short lines just don't fit. So we're gonna have to buy the ATE rubber hoses and put those in the interim until we come up with a better solution there. ECS comes up with a solution for everybody. So that sucks. We wasted a ton of time on it today, but the thermostat got replaced today. Cooling system still needs to be bled, but it's full. I put the headlights in today. Took out the old original Hellas with broken adjusters and swapped over the trim and the ballasts, and they're not aimed yet and they're not perfectly aligned. I haven't snugged down those 8 mils yet, but they're pretty close, and that just looks nice on Sterling. Then he had an issue with the sunshade. He said, hey, the sunshade won't go all the way down, and he's right. This rear window sunshade would come down to, like, if this is all the way down, it would go down to here. I know the glass is filthy. I'm going to clean it. So I'm feeling around back there, and as the arms come together to close, they get really close. I don't have another hand here, but if this body work would be my other hand, they come and almost touch. So they're stopping here, which means it doesn't retract those last few inches. Why? Because one of the hinges was broken in the past. Someone drilled it out and replaced it with an aluminum one. Very nice. But a critical failure. You didn't remove the broken piece and left it in the track. So it got pushed to the middle and doesn't allow the shade to come down. So the customer approved taking off the little plastic cap, open it up, take the arm out, slide out the old piece, put the arm back in, and put the plastic cap back on. So now that's fixed. Shade goes all the way down. Thinking maybe I'll rob a few parts off this car though. It's got the nice black trim. It's got the M-Tech rear bumper, M-Tech front bumper. You can keep the sunshades. It's got those, because it's an M-Tech, folding rear seats and an M-Tech. It's got nav. It's got gauge rings, which I now have, but it's a no PDC car, which is weird. So that's kind of the only option it's missing, that and the manual. It's got the black headliner in beautiful condition. This is a really nice M-Tech. And if I recall, it is a very late production car, and it is April 2003. So they only made a few hundred after this. You'll notice this is the only M-Tech that's in here now. The silver one with the misfire is now gone. This morning they started with swapping the injectors between cylinder 1 and 2. That didn't make a difference. So then it's just back to square one, treat the project like new. So we took the plugs out, looked at the plugs. We got, what are the little arms at the end called? I can't come up with that. It's not a diode, something else. One of them was a little too close. Looks like it got smacked around during shipping. So bent it back out to spec, misfire's gone. So don't need a DME, didn't need to move coils, didn't need to move injectors, but finally we found it. He also had some intake leaks. If this were his car, we replaced this seal here, and then in between the throttle body and the intake manifold, there's another gasket, so that's done as well. So he's back on the road and happy and paid for and picked up, which I am very happy about. The only small progress here on Sterling today, I received the hardwire kit for the Valentine 1, which is now installed up there and hardwired into the white and green wire that we use typically for the home link. Otherwise, I tried to glue the console trim down or tape it down with double-sided tape. That did not work, so it's just gonna stay like that. It need not be perfect. And I don't remember if I filmed this or not. Yeah, I did, but there's the bumper. The mirror cap showed up. I did bite the bullet and order some extra trims today, so I found out the fog light holes are washed out on this, and some of the tabs are broken in the grills. So we've got new Ziza fog lights, or not Ziza, ZKW. We're gonna replace this piece of trim, which is odd on the 540s. It's open here, and there's the brake duct cooler in there, which is also washed out, so we're gonna replace that. Then the middle grille is completely open. I got that on order. Then on this side, the passenger side, instead of the outer grille being open for the brake duct cooler and open, here it's closed. Why? I thought that somebody replaced one of them and it was wrong. No, this is how it is. The right side has an outer closed and inner open, and the left side is outer and inner open. Very weird. So anyways, all this plastic grilling down here is going to be new. Fog lights, look at that. Oops. Good thing we have new parts coming. Oh God. That's going to have a code. Shit. That'll be fixed before long, better now than on the highway, I suppose. I also have the plate delete panel already here, so that'll be painted with the bumper. And then these things, all of this non-M stuff is so cheap. I'm just gonna replace these side panels too. This one over here has had a few kisses and is scraped up, and it would ultimately be cheaper to replace them and then just paint them as new primed pieces than it would be to take these off and then sand them down and repair them and prime them and prepare them for paint. That's more labor than just replacing them. So the front of this car is gonna look damn good once we get those parts in. Drove this thing today, had to move it out of the way to get that one down and put this one here. So after driving the 540 about 400, 500 miles, the M5, as I expected, feels like an absolute weapon. Everything about it, the brakes, the throttle, the steering, the suspension, the seat, the steering wheel, everything in this car is a solid 40% better. What do you say, 25%? Yeah, no, I mean, it's more than that. Everything comes together on the M5, and obviously this one's pretty well sorted at this point, but what a completely different car. So when customers come in and say, well, I really wanted an M5, but you know, there's just such a premium for that badge, and the 540 is 95% the same car. That couldn't be further from the truth. They're so completely and totally different cars. Drive them back to back, they're night and day different. There are some similarities. You realize you're in a V80 39, but my God, the way they drive and the way they handle and the way they feel is just completely different. So that's really cool. I love that it makes me appreciate the M5 that much more and notice all those M-specific touches, because you do get used to it when you daily drive it. And certainly a 540, a nice clean one like this is becoming, is still a very nice and pleasurable, comfortable car to drive, just not an M5. Then up here, finally, we've started the MPI today. I'm gonna try to stop complaining about the heat, but today was 112 degrees up here, so not as productive as we wanted it to be. Got the MPI about 80% complete. The underbody, undercarriage stuff is done. Suspension, wheels, tires, brakes, under the hood, engine, trunk stuff is done. I've got to get inside the car, get it off the lift, do the door panels, scan for codes, like all that little fiddly interior crap, and write all that up. So we should be able to get that finished tomorrow. All in all, not too bad. Finding more like cosmetic issues than anything else. These are really cheap tires, Raptor Rikens. I think it's a Walmart brand tire, somewhere around 100 a piece. Don't love that. Wheels have been refinished in a unoriginal finish, I believe. At least the other ones look like it. This one actually looks, it's hard to see through all the dirt. Original suspension, with the exception of the rear toe arms, they're new. Wishbones are shot. Toe arms are new, rear links are new, sway bar brackets are new. That's about it. All the front suspension's original Jack pads are missing in the back. Someone jacked it up back here in the past, crushed the bodywork in there, pushed the aerodynamic spat up. Rear fender liners are cracked and torn with chunks missing. I'm not sure how that happens at 51,000 miles. Same thing over here, big gnarly crack up there. Belly pan is circa 2003. The car's a 2000. Trans pan is missing. Front bumper is dated 2011. Those are genuine Hella Euros, which is pretty cool. Pork chops have been replaced in the front with genuine. Fender liners have been replaced in the front with genuine. Fuel filter covers, as I call them, have been replaced in the front with genuine. So somebody has put a ton of time, money, and effort into some cosmetic repairs on this car. Not to mention the completely redone interior with the M1SW. So lots of potential here. We just got to get the sucker cleaned up, replace some badging, do some paint correction. I don't know why someone has painted all of this stuff carbon black, maybe trying to make it look like an 01 525. Very odd. And there's a look at the rear parcel shelf on the 740. Beautiful gray Alcantara. Sorry, Alcantara. And lastly, today I'm taking home the gray 2010, the 25-year E60 M5. That's back from rod bearings with the BE bearings or something like that, and ARP bolts. And what else did they do? They figured out some wiring that we were too stupid to figure out. So this will go home today. We're just going to test drive, bed in the clutch a little bit, put a few 100 miles on it, and then this guy's going to be ready to go back out to Mississippi and be reunited with its owner. As we get this one back, we sent out the 2001 Jet Black 540 for timing chains and guides, tensioners, thermostat, kind of that whole job. 18 cylinders, 875-ish horsepower, something like that. So I got this thing back and then realized that my laptop bag was 14 miles away in Escondido. I haven't done that in months. So no big deal. I wasn't totally starving, and this car needs miles and clutch bedding and road experience. So turned around, headed back up north. No traffic tonight. All in all, this is the best feeling manual transmission that we've put in an E60 M5 yet. This thing is just, there's a plastic bag over the seat because I didn't want to get the seat dirty with dirty shorts and sweaty asses and everything that we're dealing with. So the way it just like pops into third and then pops back to neutral, it's so freaking just butter smooth. Not that the other ones are bad or notchy or anything, just this feels really good. The clutch control in terms of the pedal, the engagement, the hydraulic pressure, everything in this feels wonderful. So those are the good things. Engine feels great. It's the Eisenman race exhaust, which is a little drony, a little buzzy, a little loud for my taste, certainly less so than the muffler delete. The more I drive different E60 M5s with different exhaust setups, the more I prefer stock. Stock in this car had enough noise. It was kind of like the E39 M5 with like Eisenman Sport. It was enough exhaust noise that you could hear, oh, this is a big engine, this is a powerful car, but it was also refined, it was quiet, it was a gentleman's car. And the muffler delete and even this Eisenman is much more of the boy racer thing, which, okay, is fun every now and again, but if you really have to drive this car, put some miles on it, take it on a trip, it is buzzy, it is a little annoying for my taste. So drivability issues, and we do have a few. About 82 miles an hour, we've got just the slightest of wobbles in the steering wheel, which I'm currently attributing to the tires. The tires on this car are all but bald. They haven't been aligned or balanced in a really long time. We did rebuild the whole suspension. That has not yet been aligned, so we've got 2 issues there, waiting to hear from the customer. We also get a service indicator light for brake fluid being 3 years past due. I'm waiting to hear from the customer there. I'm hoping he approves that. That should definitely be addressed. Then more importantly and more annoyingly, something in the rear over bumps, little drainage ditches, culvert, nothing crazy. I'm just going 82 miles an hour on the way home, and you hit one of those, just a bridge abutment where you go down like this, and any other car you barely feel it. This thing with EDC and comfort mode, which is the softest mode, there's some sort of a rubbing, a little bit of a scrape. It's like the tire just grazes the fender liners in the rear. So it's on stock struts, 101,000 miles. They are probably blown, or if not, close to it, very tired. These struts seem to go between 80 and 100,000 miles-ish, so they're probably due. That in conjunction with aftermarket, I don't recall if they're H&R or Dynon brand lowering springs. And it's not a crazy drop on this at all. It's not slammed, but it is probably a good 1/2 to 3/4 inch lower than factory. And that in conjunction with tired struts might just mean that over bumps, the rear squats down enough just to rub a little bit. So I'm waiting to hear from the customer if that's something he's experienced before, or if that's a new issue that may pertain to the drive shaft or rear end suspension work that we did. So we'll get to the bottom of that. But rod bearings are done, high pressure Vanos line, the normal stuff, ARP bolts, BE bearings, all this bullshit. So I looked at the old bearings, 101K, that's overdue on these. They're in that white box down there on the floor. And they're pretty worn. We're not into straight copper yet, but we are definitely worn. It was probably a little overdue, but no worries, it's taken care of now. So obviously we fixed that comfort closed driver door, which is really nice. The key had stopped working, so a new is it CR 2016 or 20? It's a recent year. Was it 2020, something like that? Battery and the key has brought back not only the key remote, but the keyless entry as well. And I do believe this car has every single available option. So try to make this quick. Full leather heads-up display, soft closed doors, heated seats, cooled seats, active side bolsters, Sirius XM, split folding rear seats. Geez, Alcantara headliner because that was optional on the E60 M5, and this being a 25-year car got an interesting kind of a light cream and black two-tone interior with the matching headliner. Unfortunately, drooping in the rear. Auto lights was standard, xenon was standard, PDC is standard. Logic 7 audio, I assume would have been standard for 2010. Am I missing anything? I mean, it's even got, does it have the trims on the back of the seats? No, the 540 that we had, 545 E60 the black one, that had that. So whatever those seats are, like comfort seats that articulate in the middle of the backrest, heated rear seats. Goodness, it's got everything on it and all of it works. Sunshades? Yeah, it's got freaking sunshades. That's everything. Sunroof. I mean, this is a pretty freaking loaded CIC nav. It's got it. It's even got whatever those RPI intakes, like that does anything. Oh, you get an extra horsepower. Okay, well, does BMW ever leave anything on the table for an intake? The answer is no, and anybody that tells you differently is wrong. So we need tires, we need a brake flush, we need an alignment, kind of typical stuff. Maybe, you know, if he wants to keep it here another month and throw another $5 grand at it, we'll do struts and springs for him, but I don't think he's gonna wanna raise it back up. Aftermarket stuff, it looks like it's got black side vents, it's got black kidney grills, obviously the springs. The black trash bag, super rare option on there, as I mentioned, but we are close. He owes a little bit of money for the rod bearing service now, which is cheaper because he did supply his own parts there in the way of bearings and bolts. He's got a voltage regulator in the trunk, which I told him not to worry about right now, that when the alternator goes, just replace it. I wouldn't even bother with the voltage regulator, just put a new alternator in it. They're not prohibitively expensive, unlike the M62's water-cooled alternator, because that was a good idea. So we've got the cowling to go back on, and by cowling I mean like I'm looking into the DME box down there. So we've got the DME box cover, the lower cabin boxes, filters, upper cabin boxes, just some trims, underbody, engine shield, transmission shield. I wanted to drive the car. Whenever we do work like this, I want to be sure to put some miles on it, get a look at the rear main seal, get a look at the transmission. It's an M3 transmission, so it's got the cooler port block-off solution. So we want to make sure everything's dry before we send it halfway across the country. So productive day. I just ate pizza, and I'm gonna do a new clip and turn the camera around. Boy, we're going long today. Okay, it cannot be an iPhone 14 release day, not release day, keynote day without me talking about it in the garage at 1 a.m. So let's try to make this quick. We saw a few new things. Apple Watch Series 8, not super impressed. I'm on a Series 6. I had hoped to update every 2 years, every other generation. I had a 4, that was my first one. Going to the 6 was a big enough upgrade. The 8 didn't really impress me, not enough of an upgrade. Then they came out with the Ultra. Apple Watch Ultra. I don't think I'm gonna buy it, at least not right now. It's a little too much money and it doesn't add enough actual practical function to how I use an Apple Watch. But my goodness, is that cool. That is so freaking awesome. International orange stuff on it. It's bigger, it's stronger. This thing is built to be a brick shit house in all conditions. And while I would love to fancy myself a diver and an adventurer and an explorer, I am not. I go on a few hikes a year, and I have cell service the whole time, and I can see a Costco the entire time from the mountain in San Marcos. So I'm not too worried about having that technology, though it is unbelievably cool that they're building that, and that serious adventurers can get a product like that dive certified Apple Watch on your wrist. Beyond cool. We move into the AirPods Pro 2. So I have the original AirPods Pro that I got, not when they came out. I really waited a while on that. I've probably had them about a year. Have not touched my old Bose wired headphones since then. Just the idea of having wireless AirPods that are noise canceling and a charging case, that's been phenomenal for me. Mine very rarely leave my bedroom. When I travel, they come with me. They get dropped. They get dropped off the bed when I fall asleep with them. They go down on the hardwood floor. And after, I don't even know, 8 months of having my originals, I had issues with loud static in one of them. One of them didn't want to take a charge sometimes. So I went to the store, they tested them both, replaced them both under the Apple Care, which I did put on there for $29, which was brilliant. And we've got a friend. And he's quick. It's a spider that's like clear. I'm gonna let him be. Just hope he doesn't get in the car because I don't want to deal with that tomorrow. From AirPods, we move on to the iPhone 14. I couldn't care less about. I like the Pro stuff. iPhone 14 Pro, we get a purple color. I wanted lavender. I wanted the purple that was on the 13, not the 13 Pro, the iPhone 13. That light lavender was just absolutely beautiful. I wish they brought that over. Instead, it's more of a brown, reddish, I think they call it deep purple. It kind of looks like the boxes my grandmother's perfume came in. I want to see it in person, but I can't before I decide, before I order, so I probably am going to go purple. I've wanted a purple phone forever. I think it's badass. It's not the right purple, but we'll see. Maybe it just looks different in pictures. And to be honest, when you put a case on these things, the only color of the phone you see is around the camera cutouts. And I've got the Silverstone Metallic right now on my 13 Pro with whatever the light blue matching case is, and I love that. If they made that again, I'd probably buy it, but they have not. So I don't even know. What do we see? More power, significantly improved cameras, something island, dynamic island, which does away with a notch and turns it into a pill that dynamically changes. The graphics department had a field day with that, building what looks like a design oversight into a marketable feature is brilliant. It's something only Apple could do. Does it have to be there? Yes, for now, until they can figure out how to put that shit under the display, and then that'll be a big deal. But part of being on the cutting edge of technology is sometimes it cuts, it takes time to get where you want to be, and you have to enjoy the bridges between these islands. Full circle there, how do you like that? So definitely I'll be ordering that. It'll be another 512 gig. I've got 150 gigabytes free on my 13 Pro 512 right now. So that is plenty to get me through another year. I sync my phone about 4 times a year now and add about 5 gigs each time. So shouldn't be a problem there. Pre-orders on Friday, available the following Friday. I just hope it's not at like 3 a.m. Pacific time. That will annoy the absolute shit out of me, but of course I will do it. I think that's about it. iOS 16, I'm running the 16.1 beta on my iPad Pro. I am running stock 15.6.1 on my 13 Pro iPhone. It feels good to talk about the nerd stuff again. Nate, you're still with me. A couple other people are still with me. Everyone else has gone to bed, as I am going to do now. So leave me your comments below. What did you think of today's event? So you buying stuff? Is it lame? Is it cool? I say it every year. People want more, bigger, better, faster, stronger, more battery life. Gone are the days of adding landscape keyboard. Gone are the days of adding Bluetooth. This stuff is here. The changes that they're making take longer, cost more, and unfortunately add less value. And until we get to a point where it's all telepathic or something, this is what we're gonna see. And I think it's pretty cool. And I'm super excited for the new phone. 48 megapixels is insane, though I understand there's some image trickery there with 4 times pixels, whatever the hell, I don't know. I did watch the whole thing this morning, though I was multitasking. Tomorrow's Thursday, we'll talk then. Good night.